It's interesting how we can be aware of something that we want to change in our behavior and not do anything about it, or we'll try and then we kind of crumble back in this looping cycle. And that's what I want to talk about today, because I've had experience with different behaviors where I know I want to stop them and then you still loop back round. And I think there's a pattern that you can notice and begin to work on to help you do this. Now, what I mean is you can spend years of your life smoking, for example, wanting to quit or knowing deep down how bad it is for you. So then you actually are constantly living in this undertone of shame. And you might think that you're somehow getting away with it, but you aren't, because you're the judge of your own life. You see everything. So when we think we're fooling someone, the only person we're fooling is ourselves. So when we're engaging in a behavior that we don't want to, and we think we're getting away with it, so maybe we're thinking, no one knows, so it's fine, or it's just a one-off. If it's coming from a place of shame, of course you can do things as one-offs on occasion, everything in moderation. But when you're living in a way of shame, this is the point I'm trying to make here, there's an undercurrent. When you're in an addictive cycle and you loop round, it feeds itself. There's a feeding system here where you try and quit because of the shame you feel. Shame is not a reliable fuel to make the change and the impact you need on your life. So what will shame do? Shame means you're probably going to try and have an instant outcome. You probably think, I need to do this, I need to do X, Y, Z. So need is a key word there, because it's coming from a place of kind of panic. You feel manic, you feel like it needs to be done now. Real change is a change in your way of being. It's a change in your input. You're not going to get something, and that means you have changed effectively. When I say you're not going to get something, what I mean by that is if you're in the shame loop and you're using something and you feel like you're coping, what are you coping with? So you're coping with things in your life that aren't meant to be coped with. They're signals to change. If you need to use something to make yourself feel better about your situation, or to make yourself forget your situation, and it's an external substance, you're actually blocking the change. It's important to remember we don't live a very aligned lifestyle with how we operate. We don't live an aligned lifestyle with our being. When we're mammals, okay? We are in this system that has been imposed on us, and we forget that, we agree to live within this system. And the most painful part is we then ignore our own truth for something we've been told externally. People think that if they feel a certain way, there's just meant to be an easy fix. Maybe you drink, maybe you smoke, maybe you eat junk food all the time. It's numbing the thoughts that tell you that there's meant to be change. When you remove this numbing substance, this numbing way of being, it becomes so apparent that you aren't meant to live how you're living. This adds into the cycle. This adds into the shame. When you have a way of seeing things through a lens of shame, this can be formed from all sorts of ways. Lack of self-worth, from our upbringing, from trauma in relationships, from trauma in general. When you shame yourself, you're trapped and you don't necessarily realize it, because it's just how you have existed. And I lived this way for many, many years without truly realizing, until I snapped out of it. And then you understand, then you feel the difference. The difference is so tangible. So the issue with the shame is you soothe the shame. The shame is being put on by yourself. So if you don't like your job, so then you smoke to deal with the stresses of your job, but you don't want to smoke. So then you shame yourself because you say, I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to be here. I don't even want to smoke. But by smoking, you're soothing that shame. So the feeling of discomfort, the feeling of unease that you don't want to have, is then soothed by the mechanism which then triggers the same feeling again. This framework can be applied to all different forms of numbing. So I'm sure you'll relate to this in some way or another. There'll be an experience in your life, whether you're engaging in it now or you have previously. For some people, it can even be things like caffeine. It can really be any behavior that we exhibit. but it's whether we have decided that we don't actually want to do it. We think we're fooling ourselves. We think we're getting away with it, but you're keeping tabs. So you think you're getting away with it, but your truth, your essence, your intuition, whatever you want to call it, your higher calling, to be the best version of yourself, is keeping tabs, and that's you. And then you're performing and you're acting in a different way. This comes from being unconscious in how we act and our actions, and noticing each moment, which is why it's so important to live in the now as much as possible, because in the now is when all experiences arise, but sometimes we can lose ourselves and trail off into thoughts or start acting on autopilot, and we forget we're in the moment the entire time, but we start making decisions as if we aren't, right? Acting on that impulse that kicks in, giving into that desire, and then afterwards feeling regret for doing so, means that you lost touch in that moment. You weren't able to sit with the discomfort of not giving in to the impulse and not giving in to the urge. This brings you back into your primitive way of being, right? So you can see it as it's a lower energy if you want to see it that way. You lose the ability then to separate yourself from your impulses. And if you just purely act on your impulses with no self-control, what does that make you? You can decide. But when you have an awareness over them and you don't deny them, so this is where people can slip up, I believe, and from what I've seen, you are the whole thing. You can link this to embracing your shadow. You can't deny your impulses because they're part of you, okay? They're part of who you are. It's how you choose to engage in them. So instead, maybe drinking on special occasions. Instead, maybe releasing the energy in a different form. It's acting from a place of consciousness. It's being conscious of the decisions you make when you're going to act on them, and doing it from a place that feels grounded and true and open with yourself. So as crazy as it might sound, it's building a better relationship with you. And a way I used to summarize this is it's you versus you. Like, that's what life is. It's only ever been you. And we have these experiences, we see other people and their thoughts and their opinions, and we absorb information externally. But your reality, even right now, the whole time, has been you and your thoughts and your awareness. You're able to change your beliefs. You're able to come to different conclusions. So it's you versus you, but you can be on the same team. And that's exactly what you want. So when I say building a better relationship with yourself, softening that voice. For many, many years of my life, I have been such a critic. And this is a classic as well. People say you're your biggest critic. But it's learning to soften that voice. How would you speak to someone you love dearly, to someone you care for? If they're having a hard day, you would look after them. You'd be soft with them. You would allow them a space where they can rejuvenate and recover. And it's learning, as hard as it can be, to unpick the wires of shame and to unpick these fears of not having enough or not being enough. And as you soften this voice in your head, you're going to feel so much better, because you're not constantly in this state where you feel like you're not being enough or you're not living up to something that you've set yourself. So how is it that we can be aware of something for years and not change? It's because we actually don't want to change. So in those moments, we're choosing, even though we're aware we think change might be good, we're choosing actually, but right now I'd rather feel this comfort. And the cycle becomes part of the comfort. So the shame soothing cycle, you learn to cope that way, and then you want that because it's familiar. It's learned that you can process and you can get through life this way. But you have a calling and you can feel it and you have an inkling, actually I think there's more. I think there's more to be had here. And there is. That's why you feel that way. There's the version of you who is switched on, who's attuned, who is engaging with your energy. You are so powerful. Everyone is so powerful, and you want to tune into that. It's powerful in so many different ways. You can be powerful and you can be calm and you can be loving and you can be strong and you can be understanding. You know, You want to be able to reach into this full spectrum that you encompass, and we all tune into that in a different way. We're all unique, and we've been conditioned to tone down our energy. We've been conditioned to socially conform. But what does that mean? You've been conditioned to think about what you think other people think about you. So then there's so many people who aren't living, and they're just constantly in this ongoing narrative. And the reason I say that is because that's how I lived for years, especially in school, is thinking I was trying to fit in. And it's because those environments encourage that. If you stand out, you're shunned. Yet as you actually grow and you expand into life, if you stand out, you live a life that's full, and you feel free, and you feel more love, and you feel more empowered, because you're leaning in to what you are. You're opening the doors and you're saying, yes, this is who I am. These are the things I do. This is how I behave. And I'm going to do that with no shame. It's a tricky one, because often change comes after something quite drastic, which can be why people change after maybe a death or a breakup, or they lose their job. Because what happens here is their reality shatters. Your ego that was made up, your ego in that moment dies. Many people cling. Okay, they cling to the pieces of what is no longer meant for them, and then they end up trapped once more until they finally let it go. So with all of these moments, especially huge, painful moments in our lives like that, you're given an option. You can either face the pain, face the truth of the situation. How much did it mean to you? Don't pretend, because again, you're not fooling yourself. Truly embrace that. If it's a relationship, accept how much it meant to you. Really accept that. And it'd be hard, because you might be thinking how you were wronged by this person, or whatever the other factors which you will have to filter and go through. But the truth is, it meant a lot to you, and that's why it hurts, and that's where the grief comes from. And the sooner you accept both, okay, you can't just latch onto one and say they were a terrible person and it's that simple. Or you can't with your job. If you lose your job, it's so much easier to say, well, I didn't like the job anyway, blah, 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 and bury down the truth. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be broken by these things, and then rebuild yourself, because that's where true change occurs. That's where you're completely alchemized, right? All of these different elements finally click into place, and things that you've been learning over years all lock in, and you're this full picture ready to move forward into the next stage of your life. When you're grasping to your ego and to what was, and you don't want to accept this, you don't want to accept the pain, you're stunting your growth. Okay, you're regressing, and you're going to fall back into that shame cycle, and you're going to fall back into that feeling of unease and feeling like there's always something wrong and always something going on that isn't quite right. Now, another thing when you have this internal critic is setting goals too extreme, right? And I've referred to this before. You might decide that you want to be fit. You might decide, I've wanted to be fit for so long, I'm finally going to do it. I'm going to do 100 push-ups a day, 100 sit-ups a day, and I'm never going to stop, and I need to get this done. Now, if you're doing that from this manic place, from that place of shame, fueling yourself because you think, I should have done this months ago, I need to get it done now. It's easy to do that and set the bar too high. You might keep it up for a day, 2 days, a week, 2 weeks. The issue is when that shame wears off, the fuel that you were using, you no longer keep it up. If you want to build a habit that lasts, it has to be built from stability. So this has been a huge game changer for me. Setting the bar lower, just genuinely, from a place of true growth, going for runs. I used to critique myself that I wasn't running fast. I used to think, if people knew I was running this slow. And then I would always burn out after running for a few weeks. I've been running consistently now for ages, and the way I managed to get into that is I said, I'm going to run whatever speed feels right to me. And that's what I've been doing. And now I'm running at better paces, and I feel better than ever when I do run, because I've just kept up the consistency. So consistency is more important. Set the bar low. Be kind to yourself. It's so difficult. I know you can relate to me on this level of having a voice of just not letting yourself off the hook, always drilling in, always feeling like you should be doing something, but then you're not living now. You're meant to be just where you are now. That's why you're here. The more time we spend on social media, the more time we spend in an external narrative, the more it feeds into that shame, the more it feeds into thinking we should be elsewhere. Well, where should you be? Because the reason you're here now is because that's where you're meant to be. There's change happening in this moment. You can't always know what's going on. Think of how much is happening right in the background. Now, I love this concept, and it's called the bridge of incidents. I believe it's Neville Goddard who has spoke about this, but it's the idea that when you have an intention, so maybe you have a vision for your future, maybe a job you want, maybe a place you want to live, maybe a family, these kind of things. What's happening right now is in every moment that you act true to yourself and you're present and you make a decision that feels true to you, you're not pretending. The bridge of incidents is the universe is lining up the bridge for you right now, but that can't just happen. If things happen instantly, there's no payoff. Okay, it's like being in a video game and having cheats. You know, maybe it's fun for like 10 minutes and then you've done everything because you've got everything in the game. It's like, okay, there's no point to this. And that is how it would work in this life. The reason things are enjoyable, the reason they're pleasurable, the reason they're gratifying is you have to have a waiting period. You have to have a payoff period. So right now, the things you want and the goals you want are coming to you, but you can't know the path. That's not yours to control. What's yours to control is the only thing it ever has been, and that's nothing external. It's the decisions you make and the actions you take right now, and trusting that that bridge is occurring without needing to latch onto it, without trying to figure out how, without forcing things in, is how you're going to feel more satisfied each day. Because your life is happening now. It's already started. It doesn't start when you get to this point. It doesn't start when you've meditated every day for 3 months. It doesn't start when you've finally achieved this role. It's now. So live now, always embrace the now, and you're going to live more fully from that place. Consistency is how you change from a place that lasts. So be kind to yourself, set small goals and achieve them repeatedly, right? Say 5 push-ups a day, because then it's doable. And what you've done is you'll plant the seed in your head that you now do push-ups each day, and gradually you can increase that. Notice that the thing that was stopping you doing that is the voice in your head that says, who does only 5 push-ups a day? That's ridiculous. That's you. No one has said that. And if they have, it doesn't matter. Opinions of other people don't exist if you don't think about them. In fact, here's a wild one. In your present moment right now, anything that you're not thinking about, if you're completely present, just doesn't exist to you, does it? That's how it works. We create this external narrative. We create this world where we're not actually within it. It's within our thoughts. So live now in your truth. Live now in the actual moment. Love yourself as much as you love others. Take that love, okay? It's been a learning experience for me because I've been so hard on myself for so many years, and I'm learning to soften that. And you will feel the benefits, you will. To build something, the foundation has to be stable, right? It cannot be manic, it cannot be quick, it cannot be based on shame or fear or urgency. It needs to be stable, it needs to be calm, solid, a structure, a foundation, and then you can build upwards. And when I say build, it's building those habits that you want to have, but do it in a way where you're being loving to yourself. Shame will inevitably feed shame again. And it's an issue with so many of these influencers. They need you to feel shame. They need you to feel fear, upset, insecure, weak. And that's why you keep coming back. That's why you keep going in that cycle, because that's how they get viewers, right? Touching people's pain points is how you market most effectively. It's how you sell your product, and their product is them being an influencer, and then all of their affiliated products that they sell, or their courses, or whatever it might be. So they want you to be fueled from a place of shame and insecurity. So of course they're going to push that narrative. When you're feeling shame and insecure already, guess what? It's very easy to latch onto that. So break the mold for yourself. Listen to yourself and trust yourself, and go through it with care, calmness, love. There's no urgency, there's no finish line. There's only now, and there will only ever be now. So thank you for listening. Much love. I hope this was helpful in any respect possible. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments if you want to leave one. And yeah, thank you for watching. Take care. I really appreciate you. Much love. Thank you.